Welcome to Agile World Better English. Agile World was created by Sabrina Bruce and Carl Smith to focus on agility within a global community. We're the newest addition to the Agile World family. I'm Cynthia Kahn, founder of GSD Mindset, which is an Agile consultancy, and my co-host and partner is Steve Mowbray. We're both passionate about Agile. Through this podcast, we plan to share experiences about how others apply Agile principles to become successful. So hopefully you too can apply those principles and achieve everything you want. Yay.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
Hey, thanks, Cynthia. I'm Steve Mowbray, and we are here with a change agent. And not only I was so thrilled when I started reading about April, because not only is she a change agent, but she knows that everyone is a change agent, and that's really where her focus is. And I'm just thrilled by it. Now, so good to have you here, April. And you got a beautiful painting back there from Helen.
Yes.
Is she 16?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. I mean, that's just an awesome painting there in the background. And I know some people can't see us because some people will be listening to the podcast. But now, Cynthia, you and April, kind of knew each other before this. This is the first time I get to meet April, and I'm just thrilled. You're awesome, by the way. So how did you guys meet, Cynthia? What's up?
We both worked at Intel together, and when we started this podcast, it was right like you had just posted on LinkedIn about your new book, Change Tactics, 50 Ways, this is a longie, 50 Ways Change Agents Boldly Escape the Status Quo. It's your second book. And when I saw that you wrote another book, I'm like, this is a perfect time. I want you on the new podcast, Agile World Better English. So I reached out to you and you said yes. Yay!
Yay! So happy to be here.
So here's April K. Mills, author of Change Tactics. And what's your other book again? That was
Everyone is a Change Agent.
Yeah. And what perfect way to apply Agile principles, because that's what we are, and we want to have people change the way that they approach their business and personal lives, right? So
yes.
So Steve, handing it over to you.
April, what happened? What happened in your life, in your Agile journeys? What made you decide that? What made you realize that everyone was a change agent and made you want to write a book about it and help so many people?
My journey starts actually almost 20 years ago this week. I came out of college with an engineering degree, and I joined the US Navy as a civilian nuclear engineer.
Whoa, I forgot about that. Yeah. Awesome.
So it was a great job. It was a big job. I started in August of 2001, and I was really excited about what it might mean. And then less than 6 weeks after I started, September 11th happened. And you can imagine the change that made for the Navy, for the country, for the world. And so I watched and learned in a system that was trying to deal with the rate of change, which had jumped exponentially. And as an engineer, when some processes didn't respond as maybe we hoped they would, and some systems started to crack or break, my background was in engineering mechanics, fracture, fatigue, failure, troubleshooting. We designed it for one thing, it's not performing, what's going on? So I got really curious, not just around the engineering side, but around the business process side and the tactics we were using to get more done. And so I started my journey I actually got involved with a lot of this space through theory of constraints.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which was working on, how do you get flow? How do you not overtax certain people? And how do you make work visible and understand where the limits are? So my background actually started as a theory of constraints gal, really excited about leveraging that. So I did WIP and Kanban and backlog grooming and all that stuff from a theory of constraints perspective first. And I got really excited around helping bigger and bigger portions of that organization make change happen. And then a few years after that initial experience, I got an opportunity to run a guiding coalition which was based on Harvard business professor John Cotter's 8-step model for leading change. Awesome. And it was a great experience. I had a great mentor by the name of Dennis Goen, who taught me how to run a guiding coalition. And we were blessed in 2010, Professor Cotter came to see us because we were the best implementation of his model he could find in the country.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That is amazing.
That is awesome. So for those of you that don't, Cotter is Kotter, and he does an 8-step change model, which is just beautiful. Now, April, I have mentioned the theory of constraints often, and there's a lot of Agilists who don't know the theory of constraints or what it is. Can you sum that up for us? Because I believe that's where all Agilists should start. I don't think it should be Scrum or anything else. Understand the flow of value and the theory of constraints, and you will be much further on your trip. But tell us in your own words.
So I think one of the simplest ways that a lot of Agilists can learn about theory of constraints is chances are good they've already had exposure to it and didn't realize it. Because if you've read the Phoenix Project, which many in the community have, that's just theory of constraints for IT and software. So it's really great that it focuses on the flow of value and what either processes or assumptions are you making, which are choking that flow.
Wow,
so many
that's
times
good to think about, really. Yeah.
And the Phoenix Project by Gene Kim, it's a great book, and it's written as a novel. So anybody can pick it up and read it. And it really nails common sense down pretty well. So that's amazing. You were focusing on theory of constraints. You were helping them achieve value sooner without a whole lot of frameworks around it, which is the true goal of agility, right? But you're an engineer. So how can you be an engineer and then understand people? What's up with that?
Well, so that's confounded, I think, my bosses and my colleagues for 20 years. So I've always been really curious about how systems worked, and more about how either a successful system, whether that's an engine, an aircraft carrier, a piece of silicon, is supporting the needs of who it was designed for or not. Right? Engineers are about fixing things for people. If you just cared about the mechanisms, you'd be in science. Science is fantastic for the mechanisms, but if you care about how do I use these things in service to people, that's engineering. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for those of us who like the people side of it, want to understand how these systems impact people, to get involved. But there's also a piece of my history that changed my perceptions of things. And that was one of the roles I took on while I was at the Naval Shipyard. Was I was also a union representative for the engineers union.
Wow.
And so in that role, I was responsible for helping with the impact and implementation of business process changes as they related to the union employees. So I got really involved in, what do you intend for it to do? Is it doing that? If not, how do we redesign it so that it's best for the people and accomplishes your business outcome? I did that on the union side, and then I did that on the management side for many years. It was a great learning ground.
Okay. Is there anything you can't do? I mean, because
if you say you're a good cook, I might just have to.
No, I'm not. I won't even pretend.
There you go. Well, because all right, so tell us about the first book, and you started putting that into play, and what was that aha moment that made you decide that you needed to document this and share it with the world?
Well, so I built the original class about these things that I had been doing through this guiding coalition at the Naval Shipyard. I built a class around it called Change Agent Essentials. And I actually offered that for the first time at an Agile conference for Intel in 2014. So if you go on YouTube to my youtube.com/April K. Mills, you can see a keynote called Upcycle Your Change. And that was the first keynote I'd ever given. I was 36 weeks pregnant with my 4th child. I was a tank stomping around. It's hilarious how gigantic I was.
Wait. Tell us where to find this again, because everybody needs to
Yeah,
go here.
everybody's
Look at
going to
the
want to
tank
see this
stomping
video.
around. So,
youtube.com/April K. Mills. And the keynote is called Upcycle Your Change. So if you want to see how big a woman can be on stage, pretty impressive.
I've watched some of your videos. I did not see that one, but that's what I'm going to do before the day is done.
It's pretty silly. They were a little concerned I'd deliver while I was giving these classes that week, but I didn't. He was born a month later, so that was good. But yeah, I built the class for that conference, and then months later, I joined Intel. I was there for many years, still there. But the book came about because I'd been teaching this class. I'd been trying to scale this knowledge out, but I was struggling to travel enough to really get it to a global audience. And so I thought, well, what scales better than me traveling? A book. And it so happens in June of 2016, my son Theodore, who I talk about in the book, who has special needs, he went into the hospital in Portland with a major infection. And after the first day, we knew he was going to be better, but we still had to sit there for 2 weeks while he was on intravenous antibiotics. And if I had to listen to the Disney Channel 16 hours a day with nothing else to do, I was going to lose my mind. So I had my husband bring all my materials for this class and some other things. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here, and I've wanted to write a book. I'm going to see if I can write a book. And I had the first draft before we were discharged from the hospital. So
I'd been waiting for you to just have some time. So it seems bad, but the universe was taking care of you, giving you the opportunity to stop, right? And focus on what was important, which was your son and your book.
Yep. So if anybody knows Portland and knows the hospitals up on the hill, that's where my first book was written.
Pill Hill.
Okay.
I lived there for 20
Pill
years.
Hill, yeah. Love it.
That's wow.
And what was the name of your first book so that people can go out and buy it?
Everyone is a Change Agent.
Everyone is a Change Agent.
Everyone is a Change Agent. Now, okay, so what is it, and why do you believe everyone is a change agent, and how can you motivate people to help them understand that, to help them embrace that?
Well, my key concept in the book that I wanted to share with everybody is to break them from the status quo for the way we create change. See, the way we typically create change, I call that driving people. We use coercion, threats, authority to compel others to change, or else.
That's the military, right? That's
else.
your military influence.
Well, it's funny. The military really isn't about that. You follow orders because you're choosing to submit to a system where you follow them. It's not coercion.
It's not the same as corporate America, where that's what happens.
The status quo is driving people. It's in countries, it's in companies, it's in organizations, it's in communities. People think if I stand up and I yell louder, or I get a position so I can lord it over you, then I can get my change done. Mm-hmm. And what that ends up causing is that we think that there's few people who can make change happen, and it has to be mean and nasty. And I'm going to have to push and push and push and push if I want anything to happen. And I didn't ever see that working. I tried that when I was like a junior program manager. I was like, here's my mandatory meeting, and here's my spreadsheet, and you're going to do it, or I'm going to tell on you. And
you should have waited till you were the tank and done that. So.
Did you get you were a program manager, so you were practicing. This was before you became more of an agilist, right? So you were the task master at that point, right? That's when people go, what kind of leader are you? And you're applying for a traditional job. You're like, I'm a task master. I make sure nothing gets through the cracks. Everybody.
But that's not a leader.
That's the way that we learned. We all started, right? That was before. So then what was that aha moment where you realized that agile principles and change like go hand in hand together?
Yeah. So what that was after I flamed out miserably and trying to implement theory of constraints by forcing people to understand, I went and got really curious about, well, what's a different way of creating change? And I stumbled through this work that I was doing with this guy in Coalition and some other things on this concept of driving change, not driving people. So driving change is choosing a change for yourself and clearing the obstacles for others to choose it too. And if you think of that definition and then you think of the manifesto, and I actually gave a keynote in Poland a few years ago on this at Agile by Example. And the key is by doing it and helping others do it. That's at the heart of the manifesto. So Agile can never be forced or it isn't Agile. Because if Agile is the manifesto.
I love that. We have to put that, we're doing t-shirts. So I think that that's really another one of the sayings. One of them was like Agile, it's common sense. And now we have Agile, it can't be forced or it isn't Agile. I love it.
Yeah, because you have to do it and help others do it. Hence executive Agile, as it's like, I bought a consultant, so therefore is not Agile, because you're not doing it and helping others do it. It doesn't say buy it and make others do it.
That's true. It's true. And most organizations, agility starts in small pockets with the people that don't necessarily have a great deal of authority. They start doing it, they get results, and then people start saying, hey, wait a second, what is it? They're having more fun and getting more work done. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's happening?
And the Agile story is that's everyone being a change agent. The problem is that energy then runs up on scaling. And just like my first theory of constraint successes were about me doing it and helping others do it, then I got a little bit more authority, that program manager job, and I went, ooh, let me go beat people with all my good ideas.
Beat people into agility and
right.
change.
And so when you watch Agile try to scale, it goes from yay, we all love it, to you better be Agile or else, like instantaneously. And you're like, wait, what the no, because it crosses that barrier from driving change to driving people. And so if these concepts can help people not create Agile suffering in the world, I will consider it a benefit.
Agile suffering.
I like that. I'm picturing you running around with a club,
like the torch.
Agile.
The torch at the Olympics. There's April at the front. She's at the front of the line running with her little flame.
Yes. That's what I want, not me chasing you with a pitchfork. Yes. Yeah.
So when you wrote Agile Tactics, which is 50 change tactics, so what are, because we can't go through all 50 of them, obviously, but so what prompted you to actually say, okay, these people need a list here. I'm just going to write down 50 things.
Well, it started as 114 and I figured no one's going to read that. So I had to pare it down to 50. But why I wrote the second book is because the first one really does. It lays out 7 essentials that are key to whether you're doing Agile, a community project, whatever. But what I found is it got people interested. Going back to your cooking thing, I don't cook. I cook change, maybe we could say. Okay. So it got people interested in cooking, but it wasn't enough recipes to get them confident.
Oh,
and so that's what the second book is really about. It says, first drive change, not people, then try these things. And so you pick the one that's right for your environment, just like you'd pick barbecue in the summer and, pot of chili in the winter. Depending on where you're at in your change, pick one of these and try it. And they're simple, like 3-4 page vignettes, which talk about how it's different from the status quo, why it's important. And then it breaks down. Here's what we typically do. Here's what we could do instead. And here's a worksheet or a story or both to help you make the shift yourself.
I love it.
That's a great concept.
Do you have a go-to move? Oh, sorry, Steve.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
It's the Zoom lag. I mean,
a go-to move, like which one of them would I pick?
Yeah, what are some of your top?
You're asking me to like pick a favorite child, but
okay, then don't. But I just want to get people to get a feel for what's in your book.
But one that's fun. So if they go and grab it and they check it out, there is one that says, shift from change waterfall to change agility. So that one's in there. And there's a lot of Agile stories in there because honestly, there's a lot of Agile carnage in the world. And so there's a lot of, please don't do this and try and do Agile, try this instead. So you can check out the index. There's a lot of Agile entries.
Okay, that's awesome. So there's 50 of them. And Cynthia, I love how you were zooming in on what is your favorite. So what's your go-to move? But But let's say I get the book. Let's say I'm with a client. I'm trying to help them get through. How do people go through, or what's your recommendation to go through 50 items and figure out which ones are really going to ring true? Because I love the point of not there's no one size fits all.
Right.
How do we
So what
find the ones?
I would say you start with the introduction, right, to get grounded on driving change, not driving people, because they're all built on that foundation.
Mhm.
And then from there, it's really about, well, what are you looking at? Is it change for you? Like you're trying to figure out what are some tactics I can do with what I'm doing? Change for them. What are some tactics where I'm trying to win others over and I can change what I'm doing there? Change for planning, change for action, change for assessment. So these are different times in the project. So it just depends on where you're at in your journey. Is it, I need to do things differently? I need to help them do things differently. I need to change how we plan, how we carry it out, or how we really assess if we're doing the right thing or not. So those are the sections I broke it
So it's
into.
organized by situation. So you really,
Yeah.
it makes it easy. So if you go, oh, I'm in this
Yeah.
situation, I wonder what would April K. Mills do? Then you can go
Yeah.
look up and figure it out.
And there's an index. So you can also look
Yeah.
up your challenge in the index. And then there's also, connecting with me on LinkedIn, connecting with me on Twitter. So, if you post something about, hey, I checked out change tactics. I got really excited about this one. Here's where I'm going to do a hard spot. And you tag me, I'll comment and we can start a conversation because that helps the community
You'll
improve.
respond? You'll respond to people?
You don't just post, you actually.
As my, crazy mom of 4 kids and busy lifestyle does. But if you tag me, I'll see it and I try and lean in.
Awesome.
That is awesome. So this is not just a one-way communication with you. You will actually communicate and have a conversation. That's beautiful. That is awesome. Now, of these 50 things, and I'm sorry, I keep thinking of Paul Simon here. 50 ways
I
to
know,
lose your
but
lover.
I didn't
So,
say it. Is that aging us? I'm not sure.
That's okay. I like
It might be. It might be. But there's two things that really are ringing true for me here. One is I love the way you say, take a look at how you can change yourself and change others. So, I'm working with teams right now. One of the things I always say, hey, if we want to push something to another team or to leadership and say, you guys got to do this, we have to come back and say, this is what we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to ask you to do this, but we're going to do this, right? It's not just one way. You have to do this and that's it. So it has to be a partnership and you have to start that. Now, of these 50 items, are these real life examples from your life or others, or where'd you come up with 50 of these or 114? Do you start?
Yeah. So
we're going to have another book.
Yeah. Eventually. There's a lot more books I think I can write in this space because it really is uncovered territory to make a lot of these concepts practical and easily digestible and implementable. That's the engineer in me, right? I don't need you to spend 5 years to figure out how to get your first results. I need you to get results today. So many of them are set up that way. And so I would just encourage folks to check them out, see what's in there, try them. I designed them to be safe to try. There's not big cliffs in them where if I do this, I'm probably going to break this relationship. I'm probably going to bust this open. So that makes it a lot easier for folks to lean in, get involved, try a few things, try another thing, because some of them work better on different days. It depends. All of these things I've either done, coached other people to do, gone through. So they're tested. Oftentimes what you find though is you can't really tell all those stories because you can't really say the specifics.
Right.
So I use a concept called change algebra when I have to hide the identities. And so I'll say, change X in process Y in organization Z. And what's funny is using that, you'll actually be able to fill in those variables because chances are good you'll have an exact same story. Because I can give you a simple one. In company X, they decided to go full agile. So executive A ordered executive B to force program manager C to order everybody to do Scrum.
Okay, got it.
Without training, of course. They just
and you see, you're filling in all the things. You know exactly who I'm talking about. You see the faces, you feel the frustration. I don't need to give you specifics. You've got them. I just need to show you there's a pattern and you can change it.
And we told them to do Scrum without them understanding the theory of constraints.
Yeah.
And
I've had people who said it's not a stand-up because we weren't standing. It's like, I think you're missing the point.
well, yeah, there is that. There is that. I did see a client that ordered a table for the room where they had the stand-ups in because they were going so long. So they needed to. We got another Andy pattern going on here, but we'll talk about that later. So,
Yes.
you kind of missed the purpose. So this is awesome. This is really amazing. It sounds like this is the type of thing that many organizations are really looking for, because it is somewhat of a practical guide, but not a one size fits all. Yep. Try a few of these things, see how they work, inspect and adapt, put in your little learning cycles, figure out what worked, what didn't, or if something didn't work, why didn't it work? Can we change it to make it work? Right. So that's awesome.
Continuous learning and
all this. Yes. This is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So we've been talking for about 25 minutes. And so do you have any final words of wisdom? And well, got huge amounts of wisdom.
Please.
But is there anything you'd like to leave people with? And then where can we find you? And because we want to make sure, I mean, I know where to find you and Cynthia knows where to find you, but I think the rest of the world kind of needs to know.
Where can we hunt you down? Because we know now you're going to respond now.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, yes.
I will.
We're going to test that.
That works. I love it. I think the thing I would leave people with is, whether you're new to Agile or you've been around a while, there are some winds and waves that are hitting the Agile community right now that are pretty hard, because folks see the potential of it. Maybe they experienced that in the past, and now they're involved in implementations which are about driving people, not doing it and helping others do it. And so if we believe in Agile and its potential to help so many organizations deliver value, and the professionals who deliver that value to feel comfortable and supported in doing that, then we all have the capability to switch from driving people to driving change, to offer this idea up to leaders to say, hey, I see you want the outcome, let's try something different, to change our tactics and to break out of that status quo. Because Agile right now is really at the risk that the status quo of driving people is going to, overwhelm it, like breaking past the levee and flooding all the good that we've gotten over the years. But we can make a difference if we'll choose to change tactics and help others join us. So I just really encourage people to lean in.
So what's the difference between driving people and driving change?
Driving people is the coercion, threat, the compulsion. And you cannot compel somebody to be Agile. And so if you're Agile, you're driving change. You're choosing it for yourself. You're clearing the obstacles for others to choose it too. And I joke with folks, you can outsource a lot of things. There's some things you shouldn't, like, kissing your spouse, hugging your children, calling your mother. And there's some things you cannot outsource. You cannot outsource sit-ups. If I do sit-ups, your abs don't get better. And you cannot outsource learning. If I learn something, you're unchanged. And you cannot outsource this change agency, this showing up different, which is at the core of Agile. You cannot buy Agile. You can only be Agile. And the more of us that can lean into driving change, not driving people, we will help sustain and recover some of that blessings. I've only been in the Agile community since about 2014, and I've seen it go through this nascent stage of excitement and enthusiasm to the why won't the executives pay attention to me, and now it's make the executives stop paying attention to me phase. And we could do so much better. But we have to not get trapped in that driving people, because we know Agile works. So if I only make them, they'll understand. They won't understand that way. That's not how we got there. We won't get people over it. And so I just hope these books can help people who are passionate about it, but feeling stuck, get unstuck. Because you all have the potential to be Agile and help Agile spread if you'll drive change.
That's
That's so not beautiful. I mean, like, I'm moved. I'm a little
Absolutely.
verklempt. I want to do it.
I
And if
want to
you
work
want to
with you,
stay in
and I
touch
want to
with
give you a
me,
hug.
okay,
So,
hugs,
Yeah.
hugs, hugs,
there
hugs,
you go.
hugs,
I'm a hugger, so it's
hugs,
different.
hugs, 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 hugs.
Hugs.
So if we ever meet, I am hugging you, just
That's
so you
fine.
know.
I'm a hugger too. It works. We'll be good. So if folks want to get in touch with me, I'm on Twitter at Engine4Change. So Engine FOR Change. My website is engine4change.com, but then you have to put hyphens in. So it's engine FOR change.com. If you Google April K Mills, not April Mills, but April K Mills, I usually come up with links to my YouTube site and to my blog. I have 675 posts at my blog.
Oh my
Just updated the
gosh.
website, lots of fun there. If you go to my website, you can get previews of my books if you sign up for my newsletter. You can also, if you're in a nonprofit, I give the PDF of my books to nonprofits. So there's a little form. And if you're like, hey, I'm part of this nonprofit, I'd love to get your book for it. You got to give me a few days to get that licensing done, make you your files, but I get you your files and you can share them within your nonprofit, because I want to clear the barriers for this to spread so we can spread more happiness and joy and positive agile change in the world.
It doesn't get any better than that, I think.
I'm involved with a couple of nonprofits, and I think they might take you up on that. I'm going to buy the books because they're worth every penny.
Oh, there's another piece there too. So
Oh.
all my proceeds from the books go to, and this is on my website, they go to what I'm calling Gully Crest Homestead, which is a rural retreat center for families with special needs kids that I'm building out. So all the proceeds from the book go to that project. And I've got a little picture about it on the website, and on my YouTube channel, you can see a video, amazing views of the Washington Mountains, and a great opportunity to help me build out that space so many parents of special needs kids can find a place for accessible rest.
Again, that's beautiful. Now I want to give you a hug again for a completely different reason. So
I know.
you're really amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Cynthia. Thank you so much for finding April and introducing me to April. And I can't wait to spend more time and share April with the world and the community. So Cynthia, where can people find us so they can find more people? Well, I don't think there's anybody like April, but more wonderful people.
Well, Agile World, actually, did you know, is an English site, Better English site, and Spanish site. And then we're soon to be for India site. So we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. So we've got social media covered. Our videos are on YouTube and our agile-world.news website. Our podcasts are on Spotify, Apple, Google, Pocket Cast, Anchor, Breaker, and Radio Public. So you're going to be all over the planet. And if you have friends who have ideas, I mean, obviously they can find Steve or myself on LinkedIn, or you can email us at Steve or Cynthia. We've got each have our own email accounts at agile-world.news.
We have the dashes too. So
yeah, we have that. And the dots. We have dashes and dots. So
April, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. I can't wait to dig in and start, doing the 50 ways your way. I don't have any lovers I need to leave, so I don't need to deal with Paul Simon right now. But anyway, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
You're awesome.
Bye. See ya.